welcome to Awakening the Universe. Let's talk transformation. I'm your host, Christopher. Today we are talking with an amazing being, Shannon. She is a director of a nonprofit organization, a yoga master teacher, and in my opinion, a transformation specialist. Her story is going to inspire you, and I know that you're going to love it as much as I loved chatting with her. So here we go. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Awakening the Universe. We are with my amazing friend, Shannon, today, and we are going to talk about transformation and whatever else comes to mind, right? So, Shannon, thank you for doing this today. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
And we're at this beautiful location, Circle B Bar Reserve. Right?
Yes.
And it is a beautiful, very peaceful, very busy today. I've not been to it when it's this busy, but we're gonna see how this rolls. Anyway, okay. So Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your story, where you've been, where you're at, where you're headed.
Okay.
And I know, right? That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I say that, I ask that question, but it's all about right here, right now, you know? I mean, because the past, the present, and the future are all now. So go ahead, tell us.
All right. Well, where to start with that one?
I know.
So,
You can start anywhere you want.
yeah. So I am a human here on Earth.
That's good. I like that answer.
Yeah.
That is freaking awesome.
Nearing my 40th trip around the sun.
Nice.
And I've learned a lot in those rotations.
When is that? When is your birthday?
November.
Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Scorpio, that's right. I remember this.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
water sign.
Yes.
And I am a water sign.
You're all day long, right?
All day long. All day, every day.
Yeah, I'm Sagittarius fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All day, every day. It's cool.
Yeah. So
tell me about like a moment in your life where you realize that you know, it's like, is this really what's happening, you know?
Okay, I have a big one for that.
Okay, good.
So I'm a mother of 3 kids.
Yes.
I was married for 15 years
Oh.
to my high school sweetheart, love of my life, wonderful person. And I woke up one day, several days, and said, "This just can't be it. This isn't what life is supposed to be like. I don't feel like this person is the love of my life, though I feel like I'm supposed to feel that way."
Oh, wow.
So
That is a big...
It was a big one.
Big one.
And all the reconciliation of the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. I should be happy, and I should be grateful, and I have this beautiful life, and I don't have to worry about where my next meal comes from, or if I'm safe, or if the person next to me loves me, and yet I wasn't content with that.
Right.
And I feel like reconciling that that's okay, that you don't have to be okay with that works for some people, but it just didn't work for me.
Right.
So I gathered up all my courage, and I wasn't working at the time. My kids were little. I was relying on him to be the breadwinner, and I said, I don't want to do this anymore.
That is amazing.
So it's been quite the transformative journey in dealing with his emotions, dealing with my emotions, dealing with my children's emotions, and still realizing that it's okay to make
Yeah, it is. It totally is okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's just like woke up and
So I think it was the beginning of my transformation in that I've always had this inner knowing.
Yes.
But didn't always listen. And I doubted the inner knowing. I thought the inner knowing was me and the emotional side and being too much or wanting too much or people not being able to handle me, but really it was the voice of listening to myself that I didn't want to hear.
Right.
That I looked outward to make sure that other people were okay with my choices and not inward. I did what I thought other people wanted me to do.
Yeah. Just that thing we were talking about a little earlier about the automatic yes and pleasing others, right?
Yeah. And I do have a very giving heart, so I want others to be happy. I want them to have the things that they want, but it's okay for me to want those same things for myself.
Exactly.
So even when someone is a wonderful person on paper and they're a loving man and they are smart and caring and kind and all of the things you thought you wanted in a person, it doesn't necessarily mean they're the right one.
Right. That is the truth.
That is the truth.
I mean, because if you don't feel that connection, then it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that people stay together for their families.
Right.
It can look lots of different ways. My kids can still be safe and happy and healthy. Right. I can still have a great co-parenting relationship with them, but I don't have to be married.
That's right.
Or coexist.
That's right.
In that way.
And that's just the beginning of the journey.
It is.
So tell me about some of the transformations that you've been through, some realizations.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about that inner knowing voice for me. I've always had that intuition. Even as a young child, I just remember feeling certain ways or having certain ideas, but not being open to listening to it. You know, even as you asked me to talk, I was thinking, well, I don't know anything. Nobody's ever asked me my opinion. Because I wasn't raised that way. I wasn't raised where anyone asked me what I thought about something. I wasn't raised where anyone trusted my wisdom or my intuition.
Right.
Everything was very rigid and expected. You know, you get good grades, you go to college, and then you find a family, you find a husband, and you make a family, and then I did all of those
things.
And
then what? Right.
And I did all of those things, and I was a good girl.
Right.
But it wasn't ever my path.
It didn't light you up.
It didn't light me up, no. And it didn't honor my wisdom and my intuition and my depth. It left all of that in the dark.
Yeah.
So it was opening up and listening to that, finding different ways to do that, and really getting grounded into the earth was a big one for me. So following the seasons and the cycles of the earth, even in Florida where we don't get the change in seasons. I mean, the earth still changes in different ways, and really grounding and connecting into that each year. And I always had that in me, but I just ignored it because I thought I wasn't supposed to do that. There were so many shoulds and shouldn'ts in my life, and I've tried to eliminate those words from my vocabulary.
Oh yeah, those are. I don't know if you've ever read Louise Hay.
I have.
Okay,
yeah.
and she says that's a cuss word. Shouldn't. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Just let it go. Don't
go.
say those words. And I tell my kids another word is can't. You know, my grandmother used to say, she was real country, so she would say can't, never could do nothing.
Yeah,
right?
my dad says that too. My dad's from Alabama, so
yeah, exactly. That's where my grandmother was from, Alabama. So it's like it can't, never could do nothing. So don't So eliminate those words. Shouldn't. Should, shouldn't.
Yep, there is no shouldn't.
Right, exactly. And it's all about do or do not, right?
And believe in yourself.
Believe
in yourself.
Yeah.
You know the answer.
That's right. Because that's where all of the answers live is within us. I mean, because I've been reading I read a lot, okay? And I listen to a lot of, like I told you earlier, I listen to a lot of Audible, audio books and free books on YouTube, and then I pay for books on Audible, and then if I really like them, then I buy the physical book. Anyway, so in reading all of these amazing transformational books, is what I call them, I'm discovering that where God lives is inside of us, and scientifically speaking, they've proven that there is the God particle, that whenever you take every single thing down to the smallest, to as far as you can go, right? There's this piece that they call the God particle. It's like a universe within each and every cell, and I believe that God lives within us. So when we connect to our true self, to our truth within us, then we can be transformed. Because everything, once we connect to that inside of us, all the external changes. So true. So true. I mean, everything outside of us has to transform because we've transformed. And so, yeah. So anyway, so in that, tell me some of the things that you've started doing that has changed for you and transformed.
So I think a lot of it has been just taking more into what I read and actually believing that I did have the answers, like you say. Finding that part of myself where I wasn't looking externally for the answers, for validation of my choices, that I knew that. So really, really honoring that, because it's taken me some practice, and it's still a practice. I feel like life every day is a practice, right? Like we're never fully transformed, but as we're walking along this journey, there's things that we try to bring along with us to take so that we are transforming. So several books that I've read that I can think of that really transformed me. One is The Heroine's Journey by Maureen Murdoch. Okay. She talks a lot about the life cycle of women and how we're pigeonholed into society to believe that we're supposed to be this good girl, matriarch, caretaker. But that's really, we're more than that. That we have our own journey too. And If Women Rose Rooted by Sharon Blackie is another really good one that talks about all the mythologies of women and the strength and power that we have that has been kind of squashed over time and feared.
Agreed.
So coming back to those roots and believing that we're women of the earth, that we were like this, and now we're being forced into society a little bit in ways that don't work. And there's a piece that's always stayed with me in terms of transformation that I use as a lens for a lot of things now. So a teacher once told me that there's the concept of the imprint and the blueprint. So the blueprint being that which our soul knows to be true without question. Our soul, along the journey that it's taken throughout time, has these truths. We know exactly what those are. But the imprint is the societal part that tells us the shoulds. We should be this. We should have long hair. We should have longer eyelashes, or be thin, or tan skin, or be a mother, or be whatever it is. Be whatever it is, that don't fit.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
It's not, because that mold doesn't fit every individual.
It doesn't.
Because we all came here to be something, right? We've chose to come into each and every experience, and really it's to experience ourselves. It's that God particle, it's that God in us comes into this body to experience itself, and that's okay.
And all our journeys are different, and yet all the same.
Exactly. And we were all connected. Right? And that's what it's all about. It's about love, and learning, relearning, because I believe that the power in each and every human has been has been squashed.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that we're not made to believe that we're made to believe that the answers are external, whether that's looking for an external God or an external religion, an external person. It could be just
or to find satisfaction outside of ourselves. Right. Looking for satisfaction,
or that it's supposed to look a certain way or feel a certain way, and it's not, because you know what that's supposed to look like for you. You don't need anybody else to tell you.
Yeah, kind of like the like television and stuff. I don't know about how you feel about this, and I'm going to ask. Is about television and social media and I mean, social media is good to a point where you can share yourself. However, there's a perfection that's put out there that they try to make our children believe, and like commercials and, like they're not good enough or something, or you need this medication for this thing or, to fix this or fix that. And I mean, what do you think about that? Like, how do you help your kids in this not conform? Here's the thing is like not become of the world, like what's that Bible verse that says to gain the whole world and lose your soul? It's like, is it conforming to what society says or what the world says rather than listening to our inside? So tell me some of the things that you're doing with your kids that are helping them through this.
Okay. Well, I heard a couple of questions within that. So I think that the bigger piece of social media is that humans desire to be connected. And social media has capitalized on that in the capitalism kinds of ways that our society tends to run, and then brings about all those should and shouldn'ts. Social media is very curated for us to think that other people's lives are beautiful and perfect.
Yeah, because they only show us pieces.
Right. There isn't the reality of, I woke up this morning and I don't like my life. Yeah. I woke up this morning and I'm laying next to someone and I don't want to be here. Right. I woke up this morning and I don't want to be near my kids. Like, we don't talk about that part. So my kids aren't old enough to dive into social media just yet, but I'm hoping that I'm setting those messages for them, that they have the answers, that they don't need to be external, that it's wonderful to have connectivity with other people, but they don't need to look to me or their dad or their friends or anyone else to tell them the answers, because they already know.
Right.
We're here to guide them and help them be safe.
Right.
And help them learn and have the knowledge that they need intellectually in the world, but they know the answers already.
Right. Yeah, they do.
They know the
answers. They have their own internal guidance. I call it the GPS, the God positioning system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we listen to that voice, that's going to take us where we need to be.
Yeah. And look for those authentic people in your life. Look for the people who are willing to be vulnerable and tell you what they're really feeling, what they really think about you, the constructive feedback that helps you grow. Yeah. And not the people who are looking to curate perfection. Right. Because there's no such thing.
Or not just being mean, just saying things just to be mean, you know?
Stay away from mean people.
Right, exactly.
Stay away from people who are not authentic, because they will damage the way that you feel about yourself.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, parenting. There's no book on that thing. I mean, there is plenty of books, but each child is different. You can't go by books, right? I mean,
you just have to go by knowing. So the way that I always thought about parenting was, I was an only child. I was raised very isolated. My parents were both introverts, and I didn't have a sense of community. So I didn't grow up really around other children. I babysat a little bit, but I didn't have a lot of experience of like being around babies all of the time. So when I had kids, it was really important to me to read everything I could find. Right. But what I learned from that was just taking away little pieces of, this part makes sense to me. And this part makes sense to me. But I already know the way that I want to be as a mother. Yeah. It's just needing to know those little pieces of, like, developmentally what is going to be their path, or thinking about different kinds of, like, baby things that I didn't necessarily have the experience of, to then look inside and say, but I already knew that.
Yeah, you already knew.
I already knew because I'm a human and I was put on this earth to care for other humans.
That's right.
That come out of my body.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
instinctually, like we know exactly
you have to follow
what to do.
those instincts that
we do.
That,
but we're not trained to trust our instincts.
No.
No,
we're trained to trust something else or somebody else or somebody else.
Or go ask the pediatrician.
Yes, exactly. Go to the doctor.
Like, no, but I already know. I know they have a fever, but I know they're okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't trained to trust my knowing. I was trained to look outside of it, to God or to a book or to a doctor. Go ask the
experts.
Figure.
Experts.
Yeah.
Right?
And the experts are good. Like, it's great to have that piece, and you can take away and hear something from it, but it's being able to process it in terms of, but I know too.
Right. Or it's like, oh yeah. Or you it brings it to your awareness, you know. It's okay to take that, you know, to listen to that, but do you have to, you know, like adhere to that strictly? You know, no.
It doesn't have to be so. Everything doesn't have to be black and white.
Right.
And I was raised very black and white.
Yes, me too.
And my brain just doesn't work that way.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that way about anything. Two things can be true at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, it can be.
It absolutely
can be. I mean, there's no right or wrong.
No.
You know?
No.
And there's no, oh, you're the only one. Right?
Right.
Because, I mean, you listen to Abraham? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So Abraham says in this one thing, and I say this to our mutual friend Carrie all the time, you know, wait 5 minutes and another ship's going to come along. You know? Okay, you can't.
We're not trained to wait either.
No.
Right now.
No, because we want instant freaking gratification.
Which is what social media teaches us too.
Yes. We want instant gratification. I want it now, I want it now, I want it now.
Yeah, that's what I worry about with raising kids in our society is like the capitalism of being able to get what you want immediately. Now we can order anything and it comes to our doorstep.
Yeah.
Sometimes later that
Amazon.
afternoon, sometimes the next day.
I know.
It could be colored pencils or toilet paper.
Yes.
It could be anything.
Yes.
But
I mean, it's beautiful, for those of us that you know don't want to go out to the store or whatever, or fight the folks at Walmart. You know,
in our busy life, it's great that it just comes to the door. Maybe I had to pay a couple extra dollars for it. But wow, that's convenient. But now, teaching my kids also, yes, we can get those things, but it's also okay to wait.
Yeah, it's okay to wait.
It's okay to wait.
Yeah, you don't have to have it instantly. I know.
Yeah.
That is so hard.
So hard, especially as small children, because small children aren't known for being patient.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, exactly. So we were talking about kids, and raising them, and them not coming with a instruction manual, right?
Okay, you're gonna send me now. I go home. Now what?
Yeah, I know, right? And now what? What am I supposed to do now?
Yeah,
you know, or whenever like the middle one, the second one, she never slept.
My third one was like that.
Like never slept. Even the babysitter, I had a private babysitter that she was the only kid that the lady watched, and she's like, I think something's wrong with her. She never sleeps. And I mean, she was an infant.
Yeah, my third one.
And like she never sleeps. So I'm like, I know she doesn't sleep at nighttime either. She might sleep for 15 minutes. And that's it. And she's like, yeah, that's right. She sleeps 15 minutes all day long. And I'm like, yeah, she sleeps 15 minutes all night long. Next. Then try working all day. You know? And it's like, oh my God. Yeah. But anyway.
And then at some point they outgrow those things that we think they never will.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, but they do.
They do.
Right.
And then there's something else.
Yeah, and then there's something else. So, but, you know, and I guess that transformation, you know, that transforms you for sure, right?
Absolutely.
And then you continue to have more kids, and then realize that, you know, that this isn't where I want to be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell me where you are today in this transformation.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm 2 years further along in that path and learning to listen to myself a little bit. I still, as an emotional being, and I think we all are, maybe some more than most, and I might be more on the further side of that spectrum in terms of emotions, but I feel like there's waves of time where I listen to myself a little bit more, and then those shadow voices will come in those lower moments of like, but are you sure? Are you really sure? And it's just learning to let those voices have their say, but not listening to them. Right. Not letting them overtake it.
I call that ego, right? It's the ego voice and the God voice, right? Yeah. It's that image of the devil and the angel, you know? And I said this in the last video I did. It's amazing that they're so similar. That I heard this Episcopal minister say that ego it means edge God out. Right?
Okay, I can see that.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man, because it's just like, and I was talking to Carrie the other day, a while back, and it's like that voice is that Becky voice, you know. It's just like, you know that you should be. This is a huge opportunity for you. Why don't you just do this? But you got to go. No.
Yeah, you have to really. It's learning to. So now 2 years further into that, I think that I listen to myself more, and what that looks like for me is not necessarily asking my brain.
Right.
So learning that the answer doesn't always come from intellect or from what I've read. It's really taking a deep breath and closing my eyes and sitting with it. And what does it say right here? Is it a yes or a no? Because it's automatic.
Yeah.
It's an automatic yes or no. Yeah. You have to really listen to it.
It's a hell yes
and it's
or
not,
a hell no.
It's not the then rationalizing the why. Well, it's a no because no. It's a yes or it's a no.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
I don't want to hear the why or the should or the shouldn't.
Right.
Is it a yes or is it a no?
Right.
That's all I want to hear.
Yeah.
And it's listening to that. Because before I transformed, I would try to rationalize everything. It all had to have a reason. It had to come back to a why. It had to come back to where I could explain to somebody why I made that choice. But I don't have to explain anything to anybody. No. As long as I am making a choice that is for me and no one's being harmed in the process, right. I don't have to explain anything.
Right. You owe no one an explanation.
Nothing. I don't owe anyone anything.
But
I wasn't raised to. So I have had to undo thousands of imprints on this journey. Yes. Of all of the things that I thought I was supposed to be, all of the things I thought I was supposed to believe that didn't actually fit.
That's awesome. I know, and give us some of the biggest ones or something you would like to share.
A woman stays together for her family no matter what.
That's fucking huge.
A woman sacrifices for her family no matter what.
Yeah.
A woman loses herself for her family no matter what.
Yeah. No. Doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. Both can be true.
Right.
I can be a wonderful mother to my children and be present and be wise and teach them that they're safe and walk alongside them and also be all of the things I want to be too.
Yeah. You absolutely can. That's awesome.
It took me a long time to believe that. And
right.
I still have to talk myself into that sometimes because sometimes that shadow voice will come in and say, shouldn't you have just stayed where it was easier?
Yeah. Where
you had that white picket fence.
Yeah. And everything.
And the beautiful family and the black Labrador that everybody thought, like, isn't that the holy grail of life? Shouldn't you have just been happy with that? Wouldn't that have been easier?
Yeah.
Maybe. But my soul would have died a little bit every day.
Absolutely. Exactly. Why lose your soul to conform to what others think I should be doing or what others think I should be happy with?
Yeah. And I do hope that someday that my kids will look at me and tell me they're proud.
Yeah.
That I didn't conform.
Right.
That I taught them that it didn't have to be that way.
Right. And they don't have to live that way.
Have to live that way.
And so it changes.
They can make whatever choice they want to make, and I will support them no matter what.
That's right. And you just made a choice for yourself and gave 3 beings opportunity to understand that they don't have to conform.
Ever.
Ever.
To anything.
Right. To anything or anybody.
Nope. If you want to dye your hair blue or your skin blue or your feet blue, I don't care.
You get to be and do whatever you want
to be.
Exactly. Because you came here to experience it just like I did.
Mm-hmm. And they get to decide what that looks like, not me.
Right, and I'm not going to put on you all the shit that I was filled up with.
Right,
you know.
And I get to break that cycle of all those generational messages that came down from my parents and their parents and the parents before them. I don't have to give them all that shit.
Right, exactly.
They might get it, some of those genetic messages I can't necessarily undo, but through nurture I can.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? I was just thinking that the other day about nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
And how, genetically, you wonder, it's like, you know what, one of my children I was actually looking at, and she loves chaos, like absolutely loves chaos.
Okay.
And just pulls it to her, and I'm just like, I can't stand chaos. Like it makes me, I walk away from it.
But for some people, I think that's her calling in life, is that she can harness that chaos.
Harness the chaos.
And be the calm in the storm of it.
And I thought, well, I know you weren't raised that way. Where did you get that from? Mm-hmm. Is that genetics?
Yeah.
Because her natural parents have a lot of chaos. And so I wonder that that maybe it's genetics.
I think it's
some
both.
of it.
I think it's both.
And then being able to release that genetically, and saying, okay, it stops here. We get to start something new. Because Bruce Lipton, have you ever read any of his work? He says that that he's a biologist, and he's done work on genetics, right? And it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
That you can decide to change that.
I can see how that would be true.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be true. We can decide to change anything, right?
Right. Agree. Like anything.
Yeah.
Or even Dr. Joe Dispenza, right? When he had that wreck, and they told him he needed to have all these rods and, and stuff like that. And he healed his body.
Choice.
He healed his body and doesn't have that.
That's true. That is a very good point.
So I feel like that once we realize the power within ourselves, the saying in the Bible where it says all things are possible, all things are possible, because, and that leaves nothing out.
Nothing. Yeah.
Right?
Nothing.
Because you can change anything. Anything. You can change your external environment when you change your internal environment.
It's learning to change that internal part first.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're taught to believe that if we change the things outside of us, that inside will automatically change. But I think it's the other way around.
No, that's right.
The conscious choice is inside first.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. So one of the other things, to go back to your question, is just practicing yoga.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So I've practiced yoga for a long time, but then it became really important to me to learn a lot more about it and become a teacher. So as a teacher, I think I learned a lot more becoming a teacher than actually as a student.
Yeah.
And observing others and figuring out how to translate the messages of yoga so that other people will resonate with hearing it. And being a questioning kind of person, putting those questions in people's minds to help them transform, giving them little pieces of wisdom to think about that they can take away and hopefully contemplate once they walk out of the room.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. I've been wanting to do some yoga. I've not been a fan of yoga.
Okay.
Okay. However, I see the connection, right? I see where it can help.
Well,
please elaborate some on some.
So
on
there's
some
an
yoga.
Interesting, just like there's so many layers of society of the shoulds and shouldn'ts and what we believe. I think that yoga has become this idea of a physical practice, and that's really not what it is.
Right.
it has become a physical practice because that's what people are attracted to, and people want to be fit and try difficult things and post pretty pictures on their Instagram of like the difficult things they can do. It really has nothing to do with that.
Right.
It started 5,000 years ago as a mental practice, as a place of contemplation. And reading the old yogic texts, like they had so much of a concept of what humanity was like 5,000 years ago before we had any of this around us. It was all the same. It was thinking about the ways we talk to ourselves, the way we treat other people, those repeated patterns of the mind, and the little voices inside our heads. Like they had lots of different words and ways to describe it, but it really all came back to how we think, and the way we see the world, and the way we treat other people, and realizing that we're all the same.
Right.
The physical practice came as they were teaching yoga to kids, actually, which is why a lot of the poses have names of animals to keep the kids interested.
Oh.
So now it's become this intensely physical practice in the U.S. specifically, and that's really not what it was all about. So trying to bring people back to reminding you are yoga.
Yeah.
Like doing yoga is existing as a human. If you might do a physical pose, but that really has nothing to do with it. Right. That's just a way to concentrate your mind for a moment.
Right. It's all about the power.
It's all about the power.
Harnessing the power of that mind.
Harnessing the power of that thing that just, if it only came with an off switch sometimes,
yes.
right?
Yes.
I joke about that. Like, my light switch didn't get installed. I want to press that off.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to turn that thing off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful hawk right there that just flew. Do you see it? Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's the spirit world visiting us.
Yeah.
Wow. That is that's amazing. I really had no idea. I thought that it was I knew that it was part mental and physical. Mm-hmm. But I was
spiritual.
Yeah, and spiritual, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking just mental and physical.
Yeah, no.
You
not
know.
At all.
But that's not it.
Yeah. I mean, in the ancient yoga, they would sit for an hour.
Yeah.
That was it. And think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And connect.
And connect, right?
Yeah. But there was no moving from one pose to the next.
Connecting inside, not outside.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell me, tell us, what do you believe to be true for you? I said this earlier, and I thought it was an absolutely beautiful question. I'm going to be asking it from now on.
Okay.
So tell me, what do you believe to be true for you in this moment right now?
I believe that we're all the same, and that we're all here to walk a journey of believing in ourselves and connecting with others and having authentic experiences along the way, and asking questions along the way to learn, to gain more knowledge, to find out different things about ourselves that maybe we didn't know and hadn't spent time contemplating, and to be introspective and constantly transforming.
Yeah, it's constant.
To recognize that there's no end goal. Even when our physical body, when our earth body leaves this place where we are right now, that's not the end. Yeah. Our soul goes on to do something else.
Agreed.
So as we're constantly transforming and creating this soul so that whatever it goes to next is the best thing that it can possibly be. Yeah. Sharing ourselves with the world and sharing ourselves with whatever comes next after this.
That's awesome. That is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Dang. Wow, I don't even know if I can ask any more questions.
And it's funny because I think I said this at the beginning, but when you asked me to talk, it was like, what do I know?
Yeah.
Nobody ever asked me what I think.
But look at what we've discussed. I have learned so much. I mean, really.
I appreciate that.
That's
We're always learning from each other. I learned so much from you too.
And so that's the whole reason that I started doing this series, is for myself, you know, for my own evolution, and to help those out there that can see themselves in you, in your life, you know, in our lives, you know, and when we're just sharing, you know, we're sharing with everybody out there, whomever, and when it's meant to be for someone, the universe is going to find a way for that information to get to them, you know? And so if it's through us, you know, through you and I talking, or anybody that we're talking to, or through just awakening the universe, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
You know, is just to awaken and see that the universe really lives inside of all of us.
It really does. And it connects us to what we need to find.
That's right.
Because I've been every time I'm surprised, but then I'm becoming less and less surprised that the universe curates the people that I need to find.
Yes.
And I have this amazing group of humans that have each taught me something.
Yeah.
And they've all stayed with me through this journey where they're walking next to me in life.
Yeah.
They've all taught me something.
Right.
Whether it's a person that I met and had a talk with at the grocery store randomly, or a person that
Those are the best, right?
It's like I needed to find that person.
Yeah.
They taught me something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 2 minutes, maybe it was 10.
Yeah.
But I remember those things. I'm like, this person taught me this.
Yeah. And just being more aware and mindful.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, it just pop. Mm-hmm. The universe is like, here, have this experience. Oh, hey, this person, they're going to tell you something.
Yeah. Just being open and aware. We didn't really touch
Right.
on that.
Instead of, being
Yeah.
open and aware, instead of closing ourselves off, putting on blinders and going, I can't talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I like just talk to people. I'm like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, well, earlier I walked past, I was walking over to the restroom, and there was a lady. I'm like, hey, how you doing today? She's like, oh, I'm really good. And, you know, just had a conversation, you know, just for like a split second, you know, and I mean, that connection is just.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for doing this.
Of
I am
course.
so appreciative.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
That was our talk with Shannon. Was it as good as I said it was going to be? I knew you would love it. Hey, I just wanted to end up here and say thank you for joining us, and check out our webpage, our website, awakeningtheuniverse.com. We have something new on there, retreats with several amazing beings, and you are absolutely going to love them. We also have a new a site where we are selling T-shirts with some of the sayings that we use, meant to inspire you. Our team has created just for you and your transformational journey. So check that out. Check up our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.